So we wrapping up this week, you guys. Listen, own your becoming. Alignment is your assignment. Listen, I want you guys to know that becoming the person you require to be or that you desire to be requires more than vision. It actually requires identity integrity. Okay. So this session is all about auditing your thoughts, routines, and self talk to really see if they align with the person that you say that you are becoming. It is Energy Audit Thursday, right? It's Energy Audit Thursday. And today we're really talking about owning who you are becoming. All right. So I want to ask you this. What's one belief or behavior that you've outgrown? Okay. But you still feel defeated or you still are defending out of habit. You've outgrown this, but you're still defending it out of habit. Okay. Let's talk about it this morning. All right, let's talk about it. So here's what I want to say. What if the version of you that you are fighting to protect is the very one you're called to release? Think about that. The version of you that you are fighting to protect is the version or is the very version of you that you were called to release. We often say we want transformation, right? But we cling to the habits, to the beliefs, and to the behaviors that protected us in the past. All right. And today, we have to ask ourselves, are you becoming the person that you say you are, or are you just rehearsing who you used to be? Right? Are you becoming the person that you say you want to be, or are you just rehearsing the person that you're just used to being out of habit? Right? You know, many of you know that I'm going to get my doctorates and I'll be graduating over the weekend from the Chicago school. And I have to say, it was many times I shut my computer down. I ain't doing this. This is too much. It's overwhelming. I cried, I failed out of classes throughout this progression of academia. I failed out. It was tough, right? And I knew that in this, and I'm just speaking to academia, but I had to do this in all areas of my life, releasing that old identity, right? The person that wanted to play small and that keeps creeping in, even up until today. Like, why we got to do that? You know what I mean? And keep releasing it because I know that there's a dream and a purpose for my life. And a big part of my population that I work with, that is a big part of my job, right? To hold them accountable to this present space because that old them is trying to creep in and is trying to rob them, right? Of this new experience, of this new desire, of this life that they desire to have. And it's not robbing them because it's being malicious, right? So this old you is not malicious, or it is the safe part of you. It's your nervous system saying, hey, we don't really know that over there. Right. So let's just stay here. And it's so sophisticated because it'll get in your ear. It'll whisper sweet things to you. It'll get in your ear and it'll kind of talk to you bad, right? Anything to try to convince you. It'll even come up in your flush, right? Where you start to crave and could possibly have anxiety and things like that, right? To really get you to stay on this side of the street, right? Don't go on that side of the street because that's not safe. But on that side of the street is where you were called to be. And that is the desires you want. So here is my why for this morning. This is for you, or this is for the person who has the vision of who you are, who you want to become, right? But your routines don't reflect it yet. All right, your routines don't reflect it yet. We're not just unpacking belief systems today, you guys. We are rebuilding your identity through intentional alignment. All right. My disclaimer for this morning: you know what's misaligned, and still you know what is misaligned, and you still repeat it because becoming the person that you were created to be isn't just about inspiration. It's about implementation. It's about doing the work. It's about seeing the gaps and choosing to close them one decision at a time, one moment at a time, right? One step at a time, and not these big grand bites that we want, though. Yeah, I'll talk more about that a little later. So I just want to say, hey, it's Thursday. It is Energy Audit Thursday. So I want you to take a deep breath. Listen, this is your time, okay? in your presence. All right. This is about your aligned moments. So I want to welcome you back to Life Lessons with Dr. Sheila Little. If you're new here, I'm Dr. Sheila Little, licensed master social worker. I've been a clinical therapist for 20 years. I'm the creator of the Stop and Now method, right? And yeah, in the creator of Project Life. And Life Lessons is a part of Project Life, and Project Life is this initiative where we are turning theory into practice, you guys. So I want you to drop a word in the chat and describe how aligned do you feel with the person that you're becoming. All right. Drop a word in the chat to tell me how aligned are you feeling with the person that you're becoming. Okay. My word would be very aligned, right? Yeah, just very aligned with the person that I'm becoming. And it's not because that person, well, I can't say I do experience a lot of the person that I'm becoming. There is things that are not evident, but evident in the physical form, but I definitely feel it in the energy. But just the line where I'm very much give myself compassion. So it's not really about who I'm becoming, it's more about how do I treat myself. So I'm very much compassionate and understanding with myself. I know that mistakes happen. I understand the two steps forward, one step back, so even in my most highly anxious times or maybe depressive states, like I'm very gentle with myself to give myself space to feel that, and then let's move on. Okay. Yeah, so I feel like I'm very aligned, right? And I do think life pushback, like, are you aligned? Situations happen, I have been talking about the weight and all of that, and it's I do feel like it's also life speaking to me in a way and saying, hey, is health what you really want, and that's the next space for me to really work on. So just drop a word in the chat. How aligned are you? All right, so who is this session for? This session is for you if you have a vision for your next level. All right, but your language, your schedule, and your relationships actually reflect your last. Okay, so you have a vision for your next level, but all of your behaviors basically they match your last level. All right. This is for you if you keep saying, I'm becoming this person, right? But you still make decisions based on the old you. And this is for you if you've grown, but your habits haven't caught up yet. All right. And this is okay, right? You grown, you know some things, but in your flush, right? You still acting like the 14-year-old, the 20-year-old, the wounded you, even though you know that you've grown past that. All right. So what is the powerful quote for today? The powerful quote for today is that you can't become that person, right? And keep defending who you used to be. Listen, you can't become that person and continue to defend who you used to be. That book, let them the voices in your head and the people outside of you, let them have their narratives and their stories, because there's a part of you and an aspect of you, and it may be very small right now, right? The faith of a mustard seed, right? This faith that believes, this seed in you that believes that it will become the fullness of that you were created to be. Okay, it will develop to be the fullness of you. Okay, right? That may just be happening, and all the voice in your head may be like focused on the past, right? And you feel like you need to defend that, but that all of that stuff bring you to where you are now. All right, so we can give it gratitude and we can release it, so we can be present for today. All right. So here's the thing. This session, this life lesson today, it isn't about dramatic change, you guys. It's really about deliberate alignment. Okay. It's about deliberate alignment where we're not here to really shame each other, right? We're not here to shame the gap between who you were and who you're becoming. This life lesson is actually about closing that gap. All right. So here's how today's session kind of matches as we wrap up this week. And this week was all about letting go of being open to possibilities, right? So this is how today's session really ties this together. So on Monday we talked about what if you're meant for more. All right. And that was my said, what if you're meant for more, right? And the focus on Monday was truly about vision activation, right? Activating your vision. And we explored what your soul hungers for, right? The idea is that discomfort may not be dissatisfaction, right? So just because you're uncomfortable, it may not be a red flag. It just may be this interruption or disruption calling you higher, right? So in somewhere you're being shaken, right, for a different call, right? You recognize the more you're meant for on Monday, okay? And now today it's all about asking if your current life is aligned with the more that you've been asking for. All right. Are your thoughts, are your behaviors, are your habits really matching the person you envision for your life? All right. All right. So again, Monday we talked about what if you're meant for more. That was mindset reset. All right. On Tuesday we talked about permission to sign. The permission to sign, the permission to shine. All right. And this was all about visibility and internal permission, right? Really releasing the need for external validation. Right. You don't need permission to rise, you guys. You are the invitation. All right. And that whole conversation was just about pushing you to realize that you are the invitation. So now that you've given yourself permission, right? Today's audit is really to identify is whether you identify uh what that permission reflects for you. Okay. Are you walking in what you already said yes to? All right. Okay. And then on yesterday, okay, we talked about the power. Power is power. Power is a practice, right? And that was all about gratitude shift, really about your rhythm, consistency, and really how you embody or embodiment. All right. So power is not hype, it's habit, right? So gratitude grounds it and repetition sustains it. So yesterday's conversation was all about power is this thing that we practice. It's not something that you just have, right? You do this repetition thing. So Wednesday taught you that power must be practiced, right? Over time. And on today, we're going to ask, is the power that you're practicing actually aligned with who you say you're becoming? Or are your practices building and are your practices really building the identity that you're ready to step in? So own your becoming. That's all about energy audit today. And today, on this day, this day is the identity audit, you guys. If Monday gave you the vision and Tuesday gave you the permission and Wednesday really gave you the rhythm, then today is going to give you the alignment. Okay. It's all about ending the gap between your talk and your truth. All right. Because your vision, right? Because your vision broadens yourself in your real life rhythms. All right. So between your vision, let me say this. It's all about the gap between your talk and your truth, between your vision of your broad self and your real life rhythms, right? We're trying to close that gap. All right. So yesterday, again, we focused on practicing power. And today we're going to examine whether that power is really connected to who you're becoming. Or are you still really tied to the version of you that has expired? Listen, I had a client that said that she wanted to be a peaceful, centered woman, but her schedule, right, her circle of friends, and her self-talk were chaotic. All right. And once she began to notice the misalignments and choosing again, her peace increased. All right. Not because she changed overnight, but because she stopped really negotiating with her old patterns, you guys. Again, she wanted peacefulness, right? She wanted this piece, but when we talked, we saw that, okay, if you are peace and you're bringing a piece, let's see what you're bringing. In her schedule there was no peace, in her circle there was no peace, and in her self-talk there was no peace. So we really had to work on aligning those things with what she actually wanted. And she had this idea that it was people who were supposed to bring her peace, and that's just not true. The people around her, her friends, no, peace comes from within. We bring the peace to our situations. Okay. So now that we're on that, let's do our heart check-in. All right. So I want you to pause and I want you to ask yourself, where have your words, your routines, and your choices not aligned with the version of you that you say you are becoming? All right. All right. Because a lot of times we can talk it, and this is not about faking it till you make it. So let me say that too. This is more about performance, because a part of faith is believing that the thing will be the thing. And faith is like the seed, again, the mustard seed, believing that it will become the mustard tree, right? Because the seed understands that it's already in there, even though I don't see it, right? I know that it's already in it. That's not really faking it. That's more faith in it. All right. Because I know that in this seed is already the tree, the leaves, and everything. All right. Faking it is I don't really believe that this seed will become a tree, but I'm saying it in hopes that maybe something would change or something on the outside of me is going to happen. I was having a conversation with a group of friends, and one of my friends said, I'm just waiting for my sugar cravings to stop. And I'm just like, that's not going to happen, right? Like, your sugar cravings are not going to stop, right? You have to, in a sense, disconnect from them, right? So a lot of us are waiting for something to happen before we do something, not realizing the thing you waiting to stop happening is habit. Your body is going to crave the sugar. Your body is going to crave the toxicity, your body, because it's used to it. And you, as the driver in your seat, has to be the thing that says, no, we're not doing that. No, we're not having that. And then deal with the emotion and the conflict that happens. And again, that's where the work is, but also that's where the support and getting a coach and a therapist is there to really help you. Okay. So here's 5 truths I want you to know. You can't step into this new season with old survival language. All right. So this person that you're becoming, they also need an update in their language, right? New levels require new language. So again, if you need help with language, there is an affirmation challenge. If you go to SheilaLittle.com/affirmations, or just go to SheilaLittle.com at the top, you're going to see affirmations. Click on that. Join that 30-day affirmation challenge where you get an affirmation and you get a write-up every day. Okay. And this is going to help you to update your language. Another thing that you can do, read books. Now, there's an app where I think it'll read you the book within 10 or 15 minutes, like synthesize any book for you, right? While you're taking a shower, read that, listen to that book. While you're cooking food, listen to the book. While you're driving, like, listen to the book, right? Because this is giving you new language. All right. And another thing that you can do is write, right? Just allow yourself to write and flow and journal and things like that. But, again, we can't, the same mind that created a problem cannot be the mind that changes the problem. So a big part of your responsibility is to seek out the help. And another thing about language too is getting a therapist and a coach will help you develop new language, because that therapist and that coach is objective, right? They're not personal. They're not attached to your situation. So they're able to give you a different viewpoint, right? And then last but not least, taking that emotional intelligence course that I provide, right, to really help switch your paradigms and allow you to see things differently. Number 2, misalignment. All right. Misalignment doesn't mean failure. It actually means it's time for reassessment. All right. So gaps are feedback. They're not shame. When we have misalignments, I know that we've been taught like, you're wrong, don't do that, and all of that. And one of the things that I'm trying to push in this project is to just be more gentle with ourselves and understand that life is about ebb and flow, right? And if you've never experienced this before, one, who taught you? So we can't really judge ourselves from getting it wrong the first time, the second time, the third time, and even all the way up to the 6th time if this is new information. All right. Because nobody ever taught it to you. All right. So listen, misalignment doesn't mean failure. It just means it's time to reassess. All right. You got on a detour. You thought you was going the right way. And then you looked up and you saw like, oh no, this is not it. Okay. Well, let's go back to, right. Let's go back to the highway that we started on, or let's go back to the route that's going to get us there. But we don't have to judge it. And even if you think about, like, if you were actually driving and you got detoured, how frustrating it's like, I don't even know how I got off this road. I got to get there in 30 minutes. And the frustration that you're carrying about being detoured. But guess what? Ain't nothing you can do about it. Nothing. But get back on the main highway, but find your way back. And time is gone. So might as well just readjust, feel that, disappointment. Man, communicate what you need to communicate. I'm going to be an hour late, 2 hours late, might can't get there in the morning, readjust and get back to where you're going to go, because that's the only option really that you have, right? Or turn around and go back home. And a lot of times we can get so frustrated that we're spending so much time in our detours, right? In this case, the detour is the misalignment, that we never truly make it back to the road. We either go back home or we just get so blown out of proportion. But I just want you to know, listen, gaps are feedback. They're not to be shamed or judged. Okay. Another thing I want you to know, number 3, identity is static, okay? It's formed through repetition. It's static. It means it changes, honey, okay? So your daily actions cast a vote for the person you're becoming. So how you act every day is how it's like today is the cause of the effect that you're going to experience tomorrow. Okay? Because life is about cause and effect. So how you showing up today is actually casting out a vision for a boomerang that you're going to experience in somewhere in the future. All right. And that's why you have the ability to change, because you don't have to be the person that you was yesterday. You can be somebody different today, and with the understanding that that presence that you're holding today is going to reflect back to you sometime in the future. All right. But a lot of times we're not, right? We're not. We're looking at our identity as not static, right? As if this is who I am, and it's just not static like that. All right, your identity is just not static like that. It is formed through repetition, so it moves and it flows. All right, and yeah, you can change. All right, if you just get up, you can do something different. All right, so listen, your daily actions again cast a vote for the person that you're becoming. Defending your past version really keeps your future self stuck. All right, listen, growth requires surrendering, not just ambition. All right. So many times we can't really fully embrace the person that we are today, right? Because we're defending the past version that really kept, that's keeping you stuck. Okay. What does that look like? Maybe you was not about your game. You know what I mean? And maybe it was a reason because you had small kids, or even for me, if I was to say, because we know that I talk about domestication a lot, just being domesticated and cleaning and all of that, and how I started working when I was 15, but it's something that I definitely wanted to embody, right? So I hired like my auntie and all of this stuff to really help me. Now, somebody came to me and was like, "Oh, her house used to be a mess when I used to go over there." I mean, I can't apologize. Okay, you know what I mean? Now, defending my past version would be, well, I had kids and I didn't really know, and it is what it is. And all of that's true. But me staying stuck and judging myself for that season of my life where the boys was everywhere, and I was in school and worked 40 hours, and their dad worked third shift, and so he was like the house was chaotic. Okay. I At this point I don't have to defend that. You may have come to that. Or when I was a hairdresser, again, I'm talking about me because I think that these are good examples. Or when I was a hairdresser, right? And when I used to do hair, and people, I showed up later. When I was a therapist in my earlier ages, right? People will try to hold you to a lot. And even up until yesterday, let me just be very clear about mistakes. But defending my past version really can keep me stuck, right? That mistake or those errors is really for me to do an inventory and an audit for what needs to change and applying the things, right? So listen, defending your past version again just keeps your future person stuck. All right. So growth really requires you to surrender those narratives, right? That either somebody gave you, that you gave you, your mate gave you, your mama gave you, community gave you, right? And really to become the person that you was required to be, you on leaves now. That was when you was a trunk. All right. And it's okay. Right. It was probably a part of your progression. It's probably what you needed. And so let's surrender to that. Right. Let's release that part of life. Right. So that we can become what we need to. Right. Last but not least, your becoming is shaped in the mundane. This was very hard for me to accept, very hard for a lot of my clients to accept. But listen, big breakthroughs, they start with small aligned habits. It is the mundane, the very thing that you're running from. All right. The mundane, the habits that you're creating, the small things, all of that is like grains of sand that's building. All right. That's building, right? And so big breakthroughs actually start with small aligned habits. So it's not about these big things that you can do. It's about those small shifts that you can make all the time, in every moment, every day of your life. All right. All right. Listen, your identity is truly shaped. If that made sense, put a heart in the chat before we move forward. All right. Listen, your identity is shaped more. by repetition than by revelation. All right. Why does this matter? Because without alignment, your vision really becomes exhausting because your life isn't backing it up. All right. Here's a real value in that. When your thoughts and your speech and your routines really match your vision, guess what? You build self trust, you build integrity, and you build embodied confidence. All right. And you start to embody confidence. All right. Listen, one of the members in this project said the moment I stopped calling it a busy season and called it what it was, burnout, I was free to start to build boundaries. All right. Listen, research has showed that in behavior science, it confirmed that consistent small changes in our thoughts, in our routines, actually result in sustained identity shifts, you guys. All right. So you don't need to wait to become this individual that you desire to be. You just need to start to align with that person today. All right. And that's what you want, isn't it? That is exactly what you want, isn't it? All right. And if it's yes, then let's move forward because we know that the I, right, the IT and the it factor, right, and that's what we're on today, is about identity and self talk or this inner talk. All right. So, who you become isn't just shaped by your vision, you guys. It's actually shaped by your voice. All right. It's actually shaped by your voice. Most most people, all right. I'm sorry. Most people are living in tension between most people are living in tension between the person that they've outgrown and the one that they haven't yet fully embodied. So it's kind of like you're in limbo, right? Like you know the person that you're becoming, but then it's the person that's behind you and you're like in limbo, all right? This is your this is your moment to really interrupt the inner narratives that cycle these old wounds so you can become this wise person, right? And start really creating from alignment. All right. So here's 10 things I want you to know about your identity and your self-talk or your inner talk, right? Listen, your words train your mind. All right. So speak as if you believe in your becoming. All right. Number two, thoughts are rehearsals for your identity. So interrupt the ones that don't align. You get permission to say, no, I'm going to interrupt that. I hear you. Thank you. But I just don't agree. We can agree to disagree on that one. All right. Listen, becoming isn't lofty, it's daily, right? It's not something that happens every once in a while. It's in our daily expression, it's in our daily becoming. All right. Number four, when your self talk reflects your old story, guess what? Your energy will too. This is a learning experience. All right. So it's not this all of a sudden you're going to start to speak in this future place, but it is about the awareness. All right. And being aware of the talk that you have. So either you can start balancing that talk, either you can start, incorporating new type of talk, right? Or understanding where you need to shift. All right. But when your self-talk actually is reflecting an old story, your energy will too, and you will continue to start to attract that in which you was, which is keeping that in which you're becoming stuck. All right. All right. Listen, the stories you defend are the ones you repeat. What you resist persists. So the stories that you defend about yourself, about life, or whatever that you have this entanglement with, guess what? Is the ones that you tend to repeat. Okay. And I think that I need to do a whole conversation about that because so many of us are defending our behaviors and our narratives and our beliefs and things like that. And then we're repeating them, right? And a big part of the reason we're justifying or defending or whatever is because we do hold emotions around it and we really just have to forgive ourselves and let it go. All right. Inner alignment really gives outer clarity. So the more internally aligned you are, then the more clear you have. And clarity sometimes is not a big part of the time. Clarity is just the first step. Okay. And I think that sometimes we think clarity is being able to see all the way across the road. Like I want to see all 10 the steps. And that's not the clarity that we're speaking of. Clarity is decisiveness. Like I can make this next decision. I'm clear with this next decision that I'm gonna make because maybe that's all I can see, and I'm clear. I'm 100% assured that I should make this decision. All right. And sometimes clarity does look like 10 steps, but most of the time we feel like we're not clear because we don't have the 10 steps. We had a one. Well, take the one because the one may unfold three or four or five, but a lot of us are not taking the one step or making the one decision because we want to be clear about how that's going to unfold and we just don't know. All right. All right. But here's the thing, when you get internally aligned, when you get alignment on the inside, that clarity starts to come. All right. Listen, you can't expect transformation from a mind committed to survival. You know, really coming out survival may be a daily journey or a lifelong journey for you, right? But this is where we, probably wake up on default and then we have to go into thriving, right? And practice thriving type of mentality, thriving communication, right? A thriving language, right? Showing up in this thriving type of place. And that's something that we probably have to practice daily for a long time, maybe a week, maybe a year, right? Because here's the thing, you really cannot transform from the mind that's committed to survival. And a lot of us are trying to transform, but we're holding on to survival. I don't want to do this. I'm scared. I'm nervous, very much scarcity, right? And it's like, no, we got to let it go. You got to shift into abundance. You want abundance in your life. You got to see it before you see it. All right. You got to be it before you be it. And that's going to require you to step out of survival and kind of take some risk. All right. Last two, number 9, your voice sets your internal rhythm. So tune it with your truth, Okay. All right. Tune it to what's true for you and to the truth, right? The truth of your divinity. All right. And then last but not least, your next level isn't found, it's formed. I love that. Your next level isn't found, it's formed. And formation starts, guess what? With what you say, okay? What you do and what you believe on repeat. All right. Formation starts with what you say, do, and believe on repeat. All right. A lot of us are looking to find ourselves. And it's not about finding yourself, it's about forming yourself. All right. And you form yourself again by what you say, what you do, and what you believe. Listen, becoming isn't about waiting for the right opportunity. It's really about consistently embodying the mindset, the habits, and the language that really shape the person you were always meant to be. And you're responsible for what? Forming that person. All right. All right. That person is not, you're not going to find it, but you will form it. Okay. You can form her or him. All right. All right. If that makes sense, put a heart in the chat as we move forward to our biblical wisdom. Okay. So our biblical wisdom today is coming from Ephesians 22 through 24. And what it says is put off your old ways. Okay. Put off your old ways. Okay. Or put off your old self. Be made new in the attitude of your minds and put on the new self. Okay. So the interpretation of this isn't about denial of your past. It's about choosing to stop rehearsing it, right? Renewal happens in your mind first, then your life will follow. All right. So putting off your old self and be made new in the attitudes of your mind and putting on your new self. This scripture isn't just about mortality, you guys. It's about identity maturity. All right. It tells us that who we need or who we used to be, that survival version of ourselves, is not who we are becoming. All right. But the transformation doesn't just happen, but we know transformation doesn't just happen because we want it to, right? It happens when we renew the attitude, right? The attitudes of what? Of our minds. All right. So your attitude towards yourself, your habits, your growth, and your language. This is the space where new identities are born. All right. So putting on a new self means choosing a version of you that already exists in the spirit and backing that version with your daily decisions. Okay. It means that your energy, all right, your boundaries, your beliefs, right, they start supporting your evolution, not contradicting it. All right. Again, I want to say putting off this old self, right? Or putting on this new self. It just means that your energy, your boundaries, your beliefs, they start really supporting your evolution, not contradicting it. All right. To add to that, I want you to know that you don't have to fight your old you, right? And just stop defending it. All right. So you don't have to fight with the old you. Just stop defending the old you, though. Listen, you're not broken. Again, your patterns. So you're not broken for having you're not broken for having grown. You're not fake for evolving, right? This verse is really a spiritual instruction to really stop rehearsing that version of yourself that no longer reflects your truth. All right. It's not about becoming someone else. It's about realigning with who you always was becoming. Remember, you went on detour and we're going back. You were on 75. You got knocked off in some type of way, shape, or form. We just bringing you back to 75. Okay. All right. Again, that's not broken. That's pattern. Maybe that is where a lot of your family members were detoured. And that's what, your energy was taught. And now we just like, no, we're going to get back. We're going to get back on the path, right? That was meant for you. Okay. That was meant for you. All right. So your promise verse on this morning, if that makes sense, put a heart in the chat for me. All right. Or comment. Yes. Okay. That makes sense. So your promise verse on this morning is Romans 12:2. All right. Be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. This interpretation of this, it's just transformation isn't magic, you guys. It's a mindset shift that creates new evidence. God isn't waiting to make you new, right? That entity of God, it already equipped you. All right. Your role is to realign. So be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. This is about identity work with a mindset alignment. All right. And again, mindset, you got fixed mindset, you got a growth mindset. Fixed mindset say, I am who I am, and this is who I'm going to be. Think about that. If the caterpillar didn't have a growth mindset, right? It will be stuck as a caterpillar and never go through the transformation that is required to become the butterfly. It understands that it has to let go of this caterpillar state, right, to become the butterfly. All right. And that is in essence a growth mindset. It knows that it's going to change. All right. It was built to change. All right. It wasn't created to just be this caterpillar. It was created to become a butterfly. And we have to know that too, that the seed that is in us, what we look like today, is not who we were created to be, right? It's a shell, and it will burst. And we have to let go of that and shed that part of us to become something very different. All right. So this verse reminds us that real change begins internally. All right. Your outer world will always match your internal agreements. All right. So if you're calling yourself busy, if you're calling yourself broke, if you're calling yourself behind, if you're calling yourself not enough, if you're calling yourself unattractive, guess what? You're going to keep creating from that place, because that is the internal agreement. You have agreed. Now, who did you agree with? Maybe your grandma, maybe your boyfriend, maybe your girlfriend, maybe your ex-husband, maybe your ex-wife, maybe the teacher, something in the community. Somebody told you that, maybe a bitter old person that didn't really, have happiness and peace and contentment in their life, right? And they said something to you, and then you came in agreement with it. And what you started to do was support that part of you. Now, is there times where you may be busy? Is there things that may have broken or fractured you? Is there times where you may fall behind in work or something like that? And is there times where you may not have given your best? This is all yes. But that does not determine your identity, right? Because there are also times where you have overperformed. There are also times where you were all the way whole. There were also times where you were above, right? There was also times where you were more than enough for the situation. And again, a lot of times we're not coming into agreement with those times and yielding and having gratitude for those times, because we are what? As humans, we are just conditioned to see the lower part of us. And I do believe that when the Bible say, um, God brung lightness, let there be light, it was this indication that there's naturally a dark space that as creators we need to bring light to. All right. Right. Yeah. So in this case, these things has happened to you, but that's not your identity. All right. That's not your identity. All right. So again, but if you have internally agreed with these and made them your identity, as if you are busy and you are broken and you are behind and not enough, guess what? You'll keep repeating and creating up from those places. But when you start to renew your mind, guess what? You start to rewrite your internal agreements. All right. And this is how transformation really starts to stick. So on this energy audit Thursday, it isn't about shame. It's about being clear. All right. Asking yourself, are your thoughts and routines consistent with the person that you're asking God to let you become? All right. Are your thoughts and routines consistent with the person that you're asking God to let you become? Right. And that's between you and God. And that's for you to be honest about. And it's not for you to judge. And if you're not that, that's fine. All right. That's okay. Be gentle with yourself and then do what you need to do to become, right? To align in the thoughts, in the routines that's consistent with the things that you're asking God for. All right. Listen, here's your mind is not just a battlefield, it's your blueprint, you guys, and you're building your life from what you believe. So if you want you need new mental roots. All right. This verse gives you a divine permission to really change your narrative without apology. All right. So these scriptures aren't just a spiritual theory, you guys, they're identity frameworks. All right. So Ephesians again 22 and 24, 23 to 24, it's like you are allowed to change. All right. And then Romans 12 and 2 said that you are equipped, right, to transform. And together, both of them declare that becoming isn't hype. It's actually a holy thing, right? It's a divine thing. And alignment is a sacred responsibility. It's this divine responsibility that you have. So you're not waiting for a new life. You are the person that's writing it. All right. That's writing it. And how are you writing it? One decision, one belief, and one rhythm at a time. All right. So my question for you is, if your mind is the birthplace of your becoming, then what thoughts need to be evicted on today? All right. What thoughts need to be evicted on today? Okay. So let's put this on a practice today. I want you to identify one area where your life doesn't match your vision. I want you to write down how, right? Write out how that version of you you're becoming would respond. I'm sorry. So write out how the version of you're becoming would respond. And then number 3, I want you to commit to one daily shift to really reinforce this version. And if you want a journal prompt on today, that is going to be, where am I still performing from a past version of me? And then the affirmation for today is, I no longer defend who I used to be. I honor who I'm becoming. And our intention statement for today is, today I close the gap between who I've been and who I'm becoming. And then your bonus for today, for the next 24 hours, you're going to reword one self-critical thought into a truth and then speak it out loud. All right. And then speak it out loud. Listen, you already know that I'm gonna have that call, that challenge and that charge for you. So I'm calling and I'm asking you, what truth are you ready to stop defending your challenges? What aligned action will you take today? And then your charge. I want you to stop negotiating with your past. All right. Stop negotiating with your past and start aligning with the person that you are becoming. If today's session, listen, really resonated with you and you're walking away with some fire, walking away with some insight today, you already know what to do. Drop a fire in the chat for me. You can write growth, that you've grown a little on this day. You can go to sheilalittle.com/life if you're ready for the project. All right. You're ready to kind of start changing and shifting your life. And I want you to remember that if you can shape it in your mind, you already know that you can have it in your life. And listen, I want you to know that Project Life is where you can imagine, right? That a place where you can imagine, or where you've imagined yourself to be. All right. So let us walk it out together. All right. All right. So I will see you on Monday. I'll see you on Monday. As we start to talk about action, right? So we're wrapping up how to unlock your potential. All right. So kickstart with bold action. That's the K. All right. So it's all about action, activating your life. All right. So here's your motivational coach. You're not behind. You're not off track. You're just catching up with your becoming. So let today be the day that you move in full agreement with your future. All right. Again, you're not behind. You're not off track. You're just catching up with your becoming. So let today be the day that you move in full agreement with who you are. Listen, I love you. I love you. I love you. And I will see you Monday, okay, for that life lesson. Till later.